on Cameron's waist.
Brett Huntley, David Braden, John Chen,
Tom Brokaw.
Tonight, a wild ride on Wall Street. Late in the day, an ugly finish, down more than 200 points. What went wrong? Tale of the tape. Tonight, an audio tape from Osama bin Laden's #2 man. But is it proof he survived that missile attack in deep trouble? It's happened again. Tonight, a vigil at a West Virginia coal mine where 2 miners are missing. And up the river, how did a 20-foot bottlenose whale end up in the middle of London?
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. It was almost as if no one outside Wall Street was watching. It happened late in the day on a Friday afternoon, but when the closing bell sounded just a few hours ago, traders and stockholders alike realized the damage had been done. And while this was by no means a Black Friday for stocks, it was still a downer. Stocks fell far enough to wipe out the gains of the year thus far. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down over 213 points. The Nasdaq lost a larger hunk of its value, down 54 points at the end of the day's trading. There are reasons for today's tumble, but are there also indicators buried in these numbers? We begin our coverage tonight with NBC News chief financial correspondent Ann Thompson, who is at Nasdaq headquarters here in New York with us tonight. Ann, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Blame this slide on great expectations dashed. Analysts were hoping for more double-digit profit growth in 2006, but so far companies don't see it. So today, investors said sell.
The Dow's biggest one-day percentage drop since April can be summed up in one word: disappointment. The earnings season, when companies report the past quarter's profits and look ahead, is not off to a very good start. Today, General Electric, the parent company of this network, Citigroup and Motorola joined a list of prominent technology companies with outlooks that suggest future profits will grow at a slower pace.
The earnings reports are pretty solid, but some of the comments are pretty cautious because CEOs see the economy potentially slowing down because of the hikes from the Federal Reserve and because of high oil prices.
Oil closed today at $68.35 a barrel. The price climbing not because of increasing demand, but increasing international tensions.
Unfortunately, what's driving the price per barrel of oil is the threat of disruptions in supply in places like Iran and Nigeria. And the real problem with that is there's no economic benefit whatsoever.
Even the powerhouse stock Google wasn't immune to investors' fears, dropping just below $400 a share on worries about a legal fight with the Justice Department over information that users search for on Google's site.
And when that stock was down 8%, and then even more than that at one time today, I think that unsettled a lot of traders when they saw what has become a bellwether of this market start to crumble.
All this adds up to, says one investment strategist, more choppy days ahead. So here at the Nasdaq and down at the New York Stock Exchange, volatility could well be the rule rather than the exception. Brian?
Thanks, Ann. Ann Thompson at Nasdaq headquarters in New York tonight. And now to the other major story brewing for the second day in a row, a tape from al-Qaeda. This one from the terror network's #2 man, the same one the U.S. was said to be targeting in that missile strike in Pakistan a week ago. Tonight, the CIA says the voice we heard on today's audio tape is that of Ayman al-Zawahiri. But does it prove he's alive? Here is NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell.
The voice of bin Laden's #2, Ayman al-Zawahiri, popped up on a website Islamic radicals have used in the past. The quality of the audio is good. The meaning is less clear. For one thing, Zawahiri,
he has a very
security there was already adequate.
Still, even with how worried should Americans be about today's Zawahiri tape and the one we heard just yesterday from Osama bin Laden? We are joined tonight by the man in charge of keeping the nation safe, Homeland Security Secretary Michael Chertoff. And Mr. Secretary, thank you for being with us. What are you telling big city police chiefs, municipalities who might be calling into your office, wondering how they should react, what they should do?
Well, there is no specific threat contained in either of the tapes that you referred to.
Capitol Hill in Washington tonight. In other news, there is no word tonight on Jill Carroll, the American journalist kidnapped in Iraq, whose captors said she would be killed today if the U.S. did not meet their demands. Her father took to the airwaves today and pleaded for his own daughter's life in a message that was translated into Arabic and broadcast on Middle Eastern television channels. In Turkey, the man who tried to kill Pope John Paul II is back in prison tonight after just 8 days of freedom. When police arrived at Mehmet Ali Aka's apartment today, he reportedly told them, "I was waiting for you." Many Turks were outraged when he was released after serving 19 years in prison for shooting the Pope. A Turkish court then ordered him back behind bars to serve more time for killing a journalist. In West Virginia tonight, another vigil for miners trapped underground after a second major mining accident now in West Virginia in less than 3 weeks. This one happened at the Alma No. 1 mine in Melville, West Virginia. And once again tonight, NBC's Tom Costello is on the scene for us.
Once again, a gut-wrenching vigil. 95 violations last year, including some last month for, among other things, failing to control combustible materials. Brian?
Thanks, Tom. Tom Costello in Melville, West Virginia for us tonight. The Justice Department today announced the indictment of 11 people in a series of fires in the West the government calls eco-terrorism. The 11 are members of the Earth Liberation Front and the Animal Liberation Front. The incidents date back as far as 1996. They're accused of arson and vandalism in fires that burned, among other things, SUVs. Tonight, it is worth noting what happened 25 years ago today. While the whole world was watching on television, 52 American hostages were released from Iran after 444 days in captivity. Many have said it was the crisis that brought the dangers of Islamic fundamentalism home to the U.S. in a way this nation had not experienced before. And it happened on Inauguration Day back then. Tehran had deliberately waited until Ronald Reagan was sworn in so that Jimmy Carter could not claim credit for the end of the hostage crisis. When Nightly News continues this Friday night, NBC News In Depth, our special series on strokes. Tonight, what are the advances designed to allow patients to beat the odds? And later, they're talking about it, they're watching it on live television. There is only one big story in London tonight, and there it is. NBC News In Depth tonight, part 2 of our special series here on a crippler and a killer that's been in the news a lot lately, strokes. And tonight, a look at some of the advances in technology and medical techniques designed to stop the damage when one hits. Here is NBC News Chief Science Correspondent Robert Bazell.
The images are spectacular. They allow doctors to see precise.
The very same consequences of a massive stroke claimed the life of another famous American just today, the actor Tony Franciosa. He was a big presence in the television era. His credits included the NBC show The Name of the Game with Susan St. James. In 1996, he returned to his New York roots, appearing in what would be his last film, City Hall. Franciosa was married 4 times. One of his wives, Shelley Winters, who just passed away last weekend. Tony Franciosa was 77 years old. We'll take a break. Up next, our special series, Making a Difference, and a marathon runner whose big race now is one against hunger back home.
It's NBC Nightly News Monday.
Loyal viewers of our series of reports here called Making a Difference may recall one of the first we ever did. It was about a woman who took on breast cancer, had surgery to remove a lump, and was back on Broadway performing 1 week later. Well, tonight we have an update on Maria Friedman, the star of someone else who is making a difference. Tonight, NBC's James Hattori has the story of an Olympic medalist, a world record holder, in fact, from Kenya, who has beaten the odds himself and now is turning his attention to others.
Turgat in a sprint to the finish, and it's going to be Turgat.
History that has them glued to the television. How did a whale make it into London? A whale in London, and what's disconcerting is it's not in a museum. It's alive and swimming and terribly lost on the River Thames. That means it's 40 miles upstream from its natural habitat. And as NBC's Donna Friesen reports, in London tonight, they are talking about little else.
Lost, alone, and far from home, it has captivated the British capital. Every moment of this whale's tale covered live on 24-hour news channels. Here, a man shoos it away.
We will wish that whale well as we say goodbye to you this Friday night. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget Dateline tonight at 9, 8 Central. John Siegenthaler will be here with you this weekend. We'll look for you right back here on Monday. Have a good weekend. Good night.
Sunday, an exclusive with Senator Barack Obama on his fact-finding trip to Iraq. Plus, Democrats' new lobbying reform plans. Will it really make a difference? Only on...
Next,